All right. You should be able to hear me. So I am Tracy Arnold. I'm 25. My husband's Bill Arnold, and we won't say his age, but I think my age is important because I think that a lot of other people my age should be taking these matters more seriously. Um, so to begin with, um, the Constitution of the United States has only two taxing powers, and that's privilege and property. Um, and the state of Tennessee, at least, they only have an ad valorem tax, which is a tax on property for the commercial purposes of travel, or, well, commercial purposes of using the roads, not even travel. Anyways, y'all just ignore me. Whenever I mess up, I'm going to make mistakes. But, anyways, so they have two taxing powers, okay? And they can't tax a right. And that's what, well, they're not exactly doing that. What they've done is they've placed everybody under privileged status. When you go and get a registration for your car, it actually specifically says you're paying that privilege tax and the ad valorem tax. And it also says in fine print, at least in Mississippi, that by signing this, I'm not sure exactly what it says, but it said something along the lines of, you agree that you're operating a motor vehicle and that you agree to abide by those rules. So the problem with everything is they have tricked the people into believing that you have to have a license, registration, and insurance when you leave your house, when you're using the roads. But, I disagree, and so does the Supreme Court of the United States. They don't actually specifically say, oh, we agree that you don't have to have a license to use the roads, because this would fail all 50 states. They're making so much money off of it. But the Supreme Court has held that we have an absolute right to the roads. And if we have an absolute right to the roads, then how are they placing a privilege tax? And they're placing a privilege tax because they've dumbed us down. They have made everybody believe that, in order to use roads, you have to pay. So the Supreme Court has ruled that a privilege is for-profit activity affecting a public interest, and that a license is a mere tax receipt. Okay, and when you go back and look at, I have Corpus Juris and Corpus Juris Secundum and Black's Law Second Edition, and all of them say that a driver is one employed on the roads. In the motor vehicle books, there's two books on motor vehicle, and all of it is commercial. And they also talk about protecting the travelers on the road. But I'll have to go and get my books next video. This video, I specifically wanted to focus on the request for bill of particulars that I submitted. All four of these tickets were dismissed because the officer did not show up. This officer also has placed a hold on my property, and it's been 22 days. So they don't have much longer, and they're going to be able to sell it. So I'm going to have to sue for my property back because there's no jurisdiction. He has no reason to continue the hold on the property when jurisdiction has been lost. Okay, so the questions that we've asked are, hold on just a minute. What do you need? Okay, take it. Yes, I requested any documentation that a statute or ordinance empowering the court that imposes a duty on Tracy to pay any privilege taxes to the state of Tennessee. So, what for-profit activity am I engaged in to pay the tax for? Or just show me the duty. Show me what duty I have to pay a tax to use these roads. The Supreme Court has held that the military and the commercial trucks and stuff are the main sources that provide the funds for these roads, and that the lower courts, all the money that they make from these fines go to the officers of the court, and they don't really actually go towards the roads. So, hold on. What are you doing, Emily? So, I'm just going to go over these real quick. I have 6 kids here. I need to get back to. So Tracy requests the factual sufficiency to each statute or ordinance, empowering the court that the statute or ordinance applies to Tracy. So tell me how I am operating a motor vehicle. What is a motor vehicle? It's not just a machine propelled by, self-propelled. It's more than that. The Supreme Court has held that it's more than that. These books hold that it is more than that. And I'm ready to provide that information to the court. What is the factual sufficiency? That there is a breach of a duty, of which is the causation of damages. So I'm not sure if everybody's heard of this, but it's either, corpus delicti or delicti, or it's ex contractu. So either there's a damage and I've caused a damage to the state, I've done something that has wronged the state, or I'm in breach of a contract. So I want to know what duty I have. Since I was a little girl, or 16, whatever, everybody said you have to have a driver's license. You have to have a driver's license. You have to have a driver's license. But where did these courts provide the duty? Where did they say that I have to have a license? And I requested to be supplied with main statute or ordinance empowering the court regarding the no license, no tag, no insurance. And he also charged me with false identification. And the false identification statute clearly says that I used a false name to obtain goods, services, or privileges that I'm otherwise not allowed or entitled to. I'm sorry. And there was none of that I'm not entitled to. I'm entitled to my rights. Scripture said to go in and possess the land. Scripture gave us these rights. Man had the right to leave their house prior to 1937 when the Uniform Motor Vehicle Operator Act, or whatever, came into effect. And that act came into effect for commercial purposes. They did not abrogate or null or make nugatory or do away with our right to leave our house. I haven't left my house in a month because they threatened to call DSS, or he threatened DCS on my children. And he took my property, took me to jail, all because I'm not going to force myself into commerce. Not only would that be fraud of government services, because I would be lying. And I know that I'd be lying. And I'm not going to do something that I'm not honestly engaged in or whatever. But so the clear question is, what is the main statute or ordinance that's empowering the court, imposing a duty on me, and what is the factual sufficiency that that statute or ordinance applies to me? Where is your evidence? Where's your evidence? And ignore this. Oh gosh, I don't want my address getting out there. Dang it. All right, well, maybe I can go back and edit that out. All right, so as construed, there also, okay, anyways, I'm just going to read this to you. So respondent files this memorandum in support of motion for bill of particulars, stating, as construed by our prior decisions in criminal tax cases, requires the government to prove that the law imposed a duty on the defendant. Where is the duty? That is the question. Liability is secondary only and cannot exist in the absence of a primary violation. As the court has observed, it is not to be presumed that the legislator was legislating for the mere sake of imposing penalties, but the penalties were simply in aid of the main purpose of the statute. The taxes are supplemented by ancillary provisions calculated to assure their collection. A penalty for constitutional purposes that is also a tax for constitutional purposes. In all our cases, the two are mutually exclusive. The provision challenged under the Constitution is either a penalty or else a tax. Of course, in many cases, that was a regulatory mandate enforced by a penalty could have been imposed as a tax upon permissible action, or what was imposed as a tax upon permissible action could have been a regulatory mandate enforced by a penalty, but we know of no case, and the government cites none, in which the imposition was for constitutional purposes both. The two are mutually exclusive. Still, the obligation to pay taxes is not penal. It is a statutory liability, quasi-contractual in nature, enforceable if there is no exclusive statutory remedy in the civil courts by the common law action of debt or indebtedness assumption. All right. And then this is just a rule of evidence in my state, which Federal Rules of Evidence 1 and 4B is the same, except it's actually better stated. But there's no evidence before the court, so this actually is irrelevant because there's no evidence. But we're saying, should the evidence be provided? They need to find the duty. Now, what is the main statute empowering the court? What is the nature and cause of the action? The main statute, these penalty statutes that they're charging you with over here, these are penalty statutes. They're in aid of the enforcement of a main statute. Where is the main statute? So, the whole point is where's the duty? Where's the evidence that I'm engaged in any for-profit activity affecting the public interest on the roads? Where's the evidence that you did away with my right to leave my house without a tax or without a license or a fee? This is absolutely ridiculous. And the United States Supreme Court has held that you can't convert my right into a crime. And it is a crime not to pay your privilege tax. These are our rights, and nobody stands up for their rights because nobody knows their rights because it's not listed, but it's listed in Scripture. And our rights are what was given to us prior to the Constitution being created. The Constitution doesn't grant rights. It doesn't give you rights. The Constitution secures your rights. It's up to you to know your rights and stand up for your rights. But I am going to call this quits. I just wanted to share this with you.